aborting more than 1 of every 4 pregnancies, creating human clones, eliminating our elderly with euthanasia. Is this how we should deal with human life? Find out how you can make a difference in changing our culture in this edition of Life Matters. Brian Johnston is the Western Director of the National Right to Life Committee. He has served in many capacities while advocating for innocent lives, as California Commissioner on Aging, as Chairman of the California Pro-Life Council, on the board of the National Legal Center for the Medically Dependent and Disabled. And now here's our host, Brian Johnston.
Welcome back to Life Matters, where your program on the right to life, what it really is, on the culture that has emanated from that singular proposition that appears in our founding documents. That idea that every individual is endowed by their Creator with a right to be alive, and it's the duty of government to protect that right. That has created an entire culture. But there's much more. There's a battle of ideas raging right now. It's raging all around you. If you're not aware that the ideas that make a difference are being stripped away, then you are going to lose in this battle. And this is more than a metaphor, because in this battle of ideas, lives really are at stake. When ideas go into law that will protect vulnerable people, lives are saved. When ideas go into law that say, no, that's not a human being of any value, that's not a human being of any worth, lives are taken on an industrial level, on a state or nationwide level. And that's what we mean when we talk about civilization, by the way. When we talk about civilization's responsibilities, we know, for example, that in Germany, there was some cultural attitudes against Jews. But the reason we can look back in history and condemn Nazi Germany is because they made it the law. It was now the law to kill Jews. And it's the case here in the United States. It's one thing to say, oh, well, they're going to have an abortion anyway, so why should we make it wrong under the law? Well, the reason is because the law is what defines your civilization. And if you say, let's just kill these babies and the government will pay for it in California, your tax dollars underwrite the whole industry. You're talking about the laws, and the laws are what define a civilization. And remember, you may hear this from your friends or others that, oh, well, it's just going to happen anyway. And, there may indeed be abortions, even when it's illegal. We know this, that Bernard Nathanson, I happen to have met Bernard Nathanson and befriended him. He was the founder of NARAL. He was instrumental in the Roe v. Wade decision. He admits they lied about the numbers of women who were harmed before Roe v. Wade and the number of illegal abortions that killed women. They just made the numbers up. They made up these, quote, facts in order to push through that story. But the fact is, if someone does something illegal, that's not a good reason to then legalize it. We know that people will steal cars, even if it's illegal. And in fact, it is illegal, and people steal cars anyways. But that doesn't mean we should remove the laws regarding the stealing of cars, because there's a lot fewer that are stolen. When you say, look, this is against our laws, it's against our culture, it's against the values of our civilization that you can just go up and take someone's car. And that's also against the values of our civilization that you can just take someone's life. Well, I don't want this life. I don't want this responsibility. I'm going to end this child's life. You and I know that there are people who want that very same baby. There are tens of thousands of couples waiting to adopt that very child. So this is a huge societal issue. When we come back, we're going to take it by the horns, because right now there's been a sea change in this debate, and you need to understand it, and you need to be ready to give an answer, because the truth has been laid bare regarding the truth of Roe v. Wade and the truth of late-term abortion and the real goal of the radical pro-abortion movement, which is the right to kill a child. Not just to be unpregnant, but to kill a child so that you don't have to raise that child. This is of serious consequence, not only for the law, but for our civilization. What is our view of vulnerable human beings? And thankfully, we have an opportunity. It is a silver lining to a dark cloud, but several states have now legalized abortion throughout pregnancy and beyond. In the state of New York, they actually had a law that was passed in the 80s that said if a child was born in the course of an abortion, Well, if the child was born, then you needed to care for it. But on January 22nd, 2019, the state of New York and the governor of New York signed the bill. They passed a bill that said you can go on and then kill that child who's been born, that child squirming on the table. In the state of New York, you can kill that child outside the womb, wriggling and crying. You're free to kill that child because you don't want that child to be alive. This is of incredible significance. The major media will not examine this. And if you're not willing to examine it, if you're not willing to discuss this with your friends, then I'm afraid you're losing your opportunity now. Our goal at Life Matters is to equip you for the battle at hand. There's a battle of ideas. And if you aren't prepared, if you don't speak out on these things and equip others also, then you're going to fail in this battle. We're going to come back and talk about someone who used to be pro-choice, used to be quite outspokenly pro-abortion, and they changed their mind and changed it dramatically. That individual is the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. We'll be right back after this.
You're listening to Life Matters.
Life Film Fest is the creative outreach in Hollywood that's changing Hollywood and the culture. There's many films you've already seen that actually had their start at Life Fest in Hollywood, their premiere. But more than that, we work with people throughout the industry who want to creatively bring the message of life. Not just hit you over the head with it or preach to you about it, but creatively impact the culture so that hearts and minds of our fellow citizens understand the depth and the breadth and the warp and the woof of what the right to life really is. Be part of Life Fest Film Festival and make a difference.
Every life does matter. Every life is significant. Find out about the exciting cultural change impacting Hollywood. Go to lifefilmfest.com. And now back to more Life Matters with Brian Johnston.
Well, welcome back to Life Matters. As I said, the program Life Matters is really designed for you. It's designed to help you fight in the battle that's going on all around you. We're listened to on conservative talk stations. We're listened to on Christian stations. We're listened to via podcast, even around the world. We have podcast listeners. The goal of Life Matters is you. Your life is significant, and you are in a moment in history right now, an extraordinary moment in history. And your involvement will make all the difference. And I don't mean that in a grandiose way. Literally, if you're willing to speak up, think of what happened in Nazi Germany. Think of the consequences for all of those who were uncomfortable but said nothing about the routine, legal killing of an entire population, targeting people because of their race. This was a crime against humanity, but many Germans were cowed into not wanting to address that. And we have to realize there's a culture and a media that wants to cow you and confuse you and silence you. Don't be silenced. Be equipped for this battle. As the situation in New York State, in Virginia, in New Mexico, in Vermont, as the radical pro-abortion movement is making known its agenda, you need to seize this opportunity. And one of the people who did that was our president. Back in February of 2019, there was a prayer breakfast. It's an annual event. And at that prayer breakfast preparation, the night before, there was a gathering. And the president looked over and he saw a Democrat whom he knew. Now, you may not know this, but the president, who in previous years had described himself as pro-choice, has had a conversion on this issue. He's been pretty outspoken about it. I have good friends that have met with him. Melissa Oden, who is a friend of our family. Melissa was born in the course of an abortion. She was abandoned, but thankfully one of the nurses saved her life. And Melissa is an extraordinary woman. Her story is just phenomenal. But it underscores that, yes, late-term abortions happen under Roe v. Wade. They are happening under Roe v. Wade. And these are children that can survive. Melissa is one of several that I know of that survived a late-term abortion. She met with the president. He weeps when he meets these people. He has had his eyes open. And we now are at a moment where our nation is having its eyes opened, but we need to speak. How can they know if we don't tell them? We need to explain to people the deception that the major media has pushed on our culture regarding Roe v. Wade. The evening before the breakfast, at a dinner, the president looked over and he saw Senator Chris Coons, who calls himself a practicing Christian and a devout Presbyterian. Now, the president himself had been raised a Presbyterian. Again, on the issue of abortion, he admits his eyes had been clouded, but he has come around, and particularly now, with the new laws that allow abortion through all 9 months and killing a baby after birth. And what the president did was rather extraordinary. He went over to Senator Coons and personally confronted him about the hypocrisy of being silent regarding this great evil, and particularly because he claims to be a devout Christian and claims to be of his own denomination, a Presbyterian. And this confrontation, again, our president tends to be confrontational, and I understand if perhaps you don't want to get confrontational with others, but I believe we're living in a moment in history where you do need to share with others. I have to tell you this, there's many churches, I've sat on various church boards. I have been alarmed at times at the unwillingness of people who proclaim that they desire what's right and good and just. When they are silent on America's Holocaust, it's hard to take. And each time I haven't gotten in people's faces, but I have approached the pastors and those who are the decision makers and shared my deep concern for them, that they, in fact, in many ways were being religious, but not actually spiritual if they were going to ignore the reality of our civilization, routinely killing vulnerable human beings. And the failure to address this was actually accommodating it within our own church. That there are people, and their argument is, well, I don't want to send people away. And we understand that. I think it's very important to be loving and forgiving towards those who have made the mistake, but not calling it a mistake and not calling it what it is, intentional killing of a vulnerable human being. If you don't do that, at this moment, in the case of late-term abortion, and again, there's no requirement that there be anything wrong with that child under Roe v. Wade and Doe v. Bolton. You can go back in our podcast, listen to the podcast on Doe v. Bolton. It explains why, when Justice Blackmun wrote Roe, he had the companion decision of Doe v. Bolton, and literally explains that there can be any reason cited by the doctor. He cites the health of the woman, but it's the doctor that decides that, and the emotional feelings of the woman are sufficient for killing a child even late term. So this is a very serious action that our nation has legalized. Again, you often hear people say, well, people will do it anyways. And we don't say that about any other crime. Stealing a car, we know people will steal a car even if it's illegal. But we don't take away the laws against stealing cars, because then there'd be no restricting it. The reason that we have laws is to encourage and guide people, to teach them, if you will, what is better behavior. It's inappropriate and culturally wrong to take a car that isn't yours. It is inappropriate and culturally wrong to take a life that isn't yours. And that's the reason abortion was illegal before 1973. The changes in our society put us in a situation that we are moving away from the basis of us being called a civilized society. And this is very, very serious. So it's important now that people are saying these things about late-term abortion, that they're advocating post-birth abortion, that you say something as well. As I said, the purpose of Life Matters really is for you, to equip you to understand this debate. We know that the major media, the LA Times, the Sacramento Bee, the Washington Post, we know that even Snopes, who supposedly polices the web, no, they have an agenda. And we know that the popular media wants to redefine the nature of the abortion debate. But it's very clear. This is about killing a human being. And if it wasn't, I'd find something else to do. But if this is killing a human being, we need to examine that and why it was illegal before 1973. If you haven't had a chance, I did a whole program on the laws before 73, how we got them. and in particular on a very important physician. He's the founder of modern gynecology, and that's Horatio R. Storer. And he's the one that helped pass the laws that protect that child in the womb. He called the child in the womb his second patient because he specialized in childbirth. And he saw that abortion was the intentional killing of the most vulnerable human being. That's why we had those laws up until 73. So there's been a sea change, and it's because people don't understand. They have not engaged in the battle of ideas. We want to equip you to do that. Again, I want to praise the president, and all of us know that he's a man of conviction, and we're so pleased that he's taken up and re-examined his previous commitment to abortion. And he realizes when he met people like Melissa Ohden, he realized that these are people. These are human beings that are unique, and he's very fired up about it. I really want to encourage you to also go to others that you know who seem to dismiss this issue, particularly if they're decision makers in your church, and share with them gently but clearly that this is an issue bigger than them and belief. It isn't a human being because I believe that's a human being. We know that science tells us that you can even measure the heartbeat 16 days after conception now. That's a commentary on advances in science and technology. But it isn't because I believe that baby's heart isn't beating. That isn't what makes that baby's heart beat. It isn't because I believe that late-term abortions are happening. They are happening. They were happening under Roe, as the Gosnell film explains. They're now happening in the state of New York, and even children born afterwards can be killed. And you heard the governor of Virginia, who apparently has gone into hiding for some other major faux pas of his, but the governor of Virginia described it rather cheerily, that yes, after a child's born, we'll just keep that child warm until we decide what to do with the kid. Now, this is a callous view of human beings, and thankfully our president understands that. But if you don't understand the moment in which we live now, in the battle of civilizations, we're going through a unique moment in history. And you have a role, and that's to help others to understand. So our goal here at Life Matters is to help you saddle up for your challenge right now in the culture, to help you be an advocate for those who cannot speak for themselves. If you're a Christian of any kind, you're exhorted to do that in the book of Proverbs 24:11, to speak for those who can't speak for themselves, who are being taken away to death. And don't pretend you don't know it. You may want to mention that to your pastor. Don't pretend you don't know that's a human being. Don't pretend you don't know about late-term abortion just for choice. It's how it is. And if you're unwilling to speak against it, then that says a lot more than you understand, because the battle is still here. And silence is complicity. We have a responsibility to speak up. Our president is standing strong. He's taking a lot of heat for doing that. Anyone who's been following the Supreme Court appointments, they know that the Kavanaugh hearing and all of the other debates about Supreme Court appointments, it's all about abortion. It's all about an unlimited right to kill a child. And this is of incredible significance for our civilization. So we want to give you that opportunity. If you'd like some more information, go to lifematters.life. Go to lifematters.life and get equipped for this battle. We have particular programs. You can scan through the podcasts. We focus on particular areas. Right now, we're focusing on this late-term abortion reality. It's a reality. And if you fail to tell others, the president is not failing. The president, one-on-one, approached Senator Coons, who says he's a devout Christian, who says he's a practicing Presbyterian, and he approached them about this. And it's very clear everyone who was present in the room saw that it was a very agitated conversation, but they know it was about this topic. They don't know much more beyond that. But the president took it upon himself to really talk about this. And you need to take it on yourself. In whatever way you wish to do it, be gracious, but be firm, because human lives are at stake.
You're listening to Life Matters.
Hi, I'm Kevin Sorbo, and I was very excited when I heard about LifeFest Film Festival. LifeFest is the film festival dedicated to showcasing films that affirm the intrinsic worth of innocent human life and the profound significance of each life. One seemingly insignificant person can in fact change the whole world in which he or she lives. That one singular life ends up being of vital importance. I'm so glad to hear that you are cherishing that in this film festival and are committed to artfully and creatively protect the lives of those who can't possibly promote themselves.
Life Film Fest is dedicated to bring the message of life to Hollywood and to our culture. Go to lifefilmfest.com and get your tickets now. That's lifefilmfest.com.
Find out about the exciting cultural change impacting Hollywood. Go to lifefilmfest.com. And now back to more Life Matters with Brian Johnston.
Welcome back to Life Matters, your program on the right to life, on the culture that emanates from that very important idea, because a whole culture has emanated from that, and we enjoy the riches of that culture. But there's a battle of ideas now, and that idea is under attack, and the importance of the right to life has been lost on many, many people. We want to equip you in this battle. That's why we exist as a program, because the battle is about ideas. And if you're not good with ideas, don't worry. It takes a little application, and if you're a Christian, please pray about using your heart and soul and mind and strength. Because if we don't use facts, if we don't use our minds, there's others who are intent on taking away the ideas that have made this country free, and in particular have given us the great gifts that we have and ensured those gifts. And the very first gift that our government is supposed to ensure is the gift of life. It's very important that you stand up now, and that's why we're focusing on equipping you with the resources you need, because you're significant in this battle. Don't play yourself down. I had an interesting experience. Some of you know I used to teach, and I had a former student come up to me and share that they were very thankful because of my pro-life commitment. Now, I don't ever recall in the classroom talking about the right to life issue. I may have, but all of my students knew and do know of my commitment to this issue as the preeminent issue of our day. It is of incredible significance. And again, the culture and the media wants to send a fog and kick up dust and confuse people about the issues of the day and what's really important. This is the issue of our time. It is the definitive issue of our moment. And our attitude towards it means so much. And this student came up to me and he thanked me for my commitment to life. And well, you're welcome. He said, no, you need to understand. It's because of your commitment that I did not have my child aborted. He had gotten a young woman pregnant. And he had that opportunity. In fact, as everyone does now, sadly, in our culture right now, you can kill babies that are inconvenient. How about that? And he didn't think about it too long. And he said it was because of my influence, because of my commitment. He really understood. And he's very glad now. They're married and he has several kids. He loves them dearly. And that's very gratifying to hear that. But it's important for you to know that what you say and do, if you're willing to speak up, sometimes it may seem inappropriate, I'll be honest. And we talked in this program that the president at a prayer breakfast planning session went up and took the opportunity to talk to a fellow Christian, a fellow Presbyterian about this very issue. It may seem inappropriate, but my friends, the times are very real. And this battle is very real. Don't think it's going to go away. You're in the middle of it, whether you like it or not. So understanding is very important. That's really the reason we do this program, is to help you understand the significance of the right to life debate. And its overarching importance, its undergirding importance, the fact that this is the predicate that you are made by God. And again, I don't go into your theology or mine on this program in any great depth, but our founders were asserting a statement that there is a God. And they didn't tell the Baptists in Rhode Island or the Congregationalists in Massachusetts or the Catholics in Maryland. They didn't tell them deeper theology than there's a God that made you and the government didn't make you. That's such an important premise, and it's being taken away from your nation as we speak. If you're not willing to speak about it, then you're failing in this moment. So we do want to equip you because this program, it's not about me. It's about you. It's about every human life. It's about the gift that we've been given. And that gift is precious. So please consider supporting the Right to Life. And really, let me transition here to an important opportunity you have. Consider supporting our program. The Life Matters program is heard throughout California by radio, and it's heard in other states by radio too, but mostly in the West. And it's heard all over the world by podcast. And the reason we're doing it is we know that there's very few other resources like this. There are shorter programs. I work with many Right to Life groups, but many of you have told me this is a unique program because we don't just deal with my theology here or your theology. We're dealing with something even bigger. We don't deal with my beliefs because it isn't my belief that makes that a human baby. That is an objective fact. We are here to give you facts and equip you with the objective facts. Now, the fact that my faith agrees with objective facts doesn't make it about my religion. There are simply objective facts, and that's why we had those laws before Roe v. Wade. It is so important to equip others. I would ask you, if you'd like, please go to the Life Matters webpage, lifematters.life. We are having a campaign now to underwrite and expand the reach of this program. Go to lifematters.life and please consider pledging to our program because it's only through your help. And again, the purpose of this program is to help you and others like you, like my student Steve, and many others who may not even tune in, but they may hear from you. And when you have an answer for them, when you speak to someone else from your church or someone else that you know about the dire situation in our nation that we're killing children, late-term children, we're killing children that have been born now. If you don't speak for them, who will? So please consider supporting Life Matters. Go to www.lifematters.life, and where it says to help, please consider pledging to our program. We're conducting this pledge drive so that we can expand this work to help you and all the folks like you who have convictions but don't quite know what to do with them. We want to equip you with the facts of life because every life is significant and every life does matter.
Learn more about everything in today's show online at lifematters.life, where you'll find all the resources you need to protect life. Life Matters is a production of the California Pro-Life Council, the state affiliate of National Right to Life. Wherever you are in the nation, you can find out more at National Right to Life. You can find vital pro-life information and also find the access to your state and local Right to Life affiliate. Get informed and get involved.